Hello everyone. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. £1,000, Sisters. Have Amy and Michael Halterman purchased a home? During this season of £1,000, Sisters, Amy and Michael Halterman have been struggling with their decision to find a new forever home. As little Gage has grown into a tiny, nearly walking tot, their tiny, one-bedroom residence has quickly become too small for their budding family. In last week's episode, we see the couple actively searching for a new home. But did they ever find it? Read on to get the details on Amy and Michael's current residential arrangements. Amy and Michael Halterman decide to move. Since some time into Amy Halterman's pregnancy, she and her husband, Michael Halterman, have known that their tiny duplex apartment was not going to be an option much longer. In fact, with only one bedroom, their home is overrun by their belongings and their growing collection of baby gear, which has caused quite a bit of clutter. Amy and Michael attempted to get their small space organized so they could hold out a bit longer. Unfortunately, the couple has since realized that more space is something they need sooner rather than later. On the hunt for their forever home. In Monday night's episode, viewers go along with Amy and Michael Halterman to check out some homes in their area. During the episode, the couple drives around the neighborhood that they have been interested in for some time. They come upon a home with a for sale sign in the yard. During a conversation with her husband, Amy says the house in question is nearby to Michael's mom. She also muses that it is close enough to her family and very near a park. They call the number to get more information about the home. However, the segment did not give us the details of that conversation. It's clear, however, that the couple is fully committed to finding themselves a bigger space, despite any former hesitations about leaving the duplex. Why did Amy and Michael wait so long? While Amy and Michael knew that they couldn't stay forever, they put off finding a new home for quite some time. Amy has expressed many times that they made the decision to stick around because Amy was afraid to abandon her sister. Tammy Slayton, still at 640+ pounds, is now nearly twice the size of her younger sister. Unlike her sister, Amy was approved for surgery during the first season of the show. Through her efforts, she has since lost more than 100 pounds. She happily reports that the quality of her life has greatly improved. Now, on the other side of the surgery that changed her life, she is watching her sister flounder fall more and more dependent on others. Amy, having been Tammy's primary caretaker for years, hired a nurse earlier in the season to help Tammy with basic daily tasks, like cooking, cleaning, and basic hygiene. Many of these tasks were items that Amy was once responsible for. Amy said that she hoped Tammy having a nurse would prepare her for being more independent from her sister. The celeb knew with Gage on the way, they would eventually need more space. Additionally, Amy needed Tammy to start taking responsibility for her own life because soon, Amy's primary focus would be her newborn son. Did the Haltermans find the perfect home? Despite there being a huge time gap between the filming of seasons and when they air, no definite answer about Amy and Michael's living situation has been announced. At the end of last week's episode, TLC released a preview of what's coming for the rest of the season. Included was a clip of Michael and Amy moving. They are packing, loading appliances into a truck, and telling Tammy that they were leaving for the new house. This has led fans to think that the pair finally did agree on a place. Other fans, however, suspect that whatever plans they had to leave may have fallen through. Why? Well, a scroll through Amy Halterman's recent Instagram posts shows pictures as late as Halloween, still inside the duplex. The current season premiered on November 15th of this year. On that date, Season 3 would have already completed filming. With the most recent photos of the family being taken in the duplex apartment, many fans ultimately believe that they still live there. The headline spread across my mental tabloid like a neon sign. Have Amy and Michael Halterman purchased a home? It arrived not as a cold press release but as a warm, messy rumor. The kind whispered between friends over coffee, the kind that smells faintly of hope and expensive takeout. In the world of reality television family sagas, a house is more than a building. It's a fortress of identity, a stage for new drama, and, if we're lucky, a soft landing for people who have lived so publicly they sometimes forget what privacy feels like. Imagine Amy and Michael on the driveway of a modest ranch, both squinting at a for sale sign like it's a crossword puzzle with the answer on the back. Amy, who has weathered public judgment and fierce love with equal ferocity, runs her hand along the mailbox post as if she's claiming territory. Michael, always the quiet counterpoint to her combustion, inspects the gutters with surprising delicacy, as if the little things in life, a steady roofline, a well-functioning thermostat, are the new luxuries to savor. The house they might buy wouldn't need to be marble-floored or architecturally avant-garde. It would be honest, for walls that keep out storms and a kitchen that can hold the kind of noise only a large family can produce. There's a scene in my head where Amy stands at the center of the living room holding a paint swatch like a tiny flag, declaring warm sand, while Michael nods, imagining a couch he can actually get comfortable on. They'd argue about laminate versus hardwood, of course. They'd probably laugh about it, too, because humor is the fabric that stitches their relationship together. If the Haltermans did buy a house, the yard would be a slow-motion dream sequence. One corner would hold a stubborn tomato plant Amy promised herself she'd keep alive this time. Another corner would house Michael's tools, not because he loves tools, but because tools are promises. If the faucet leaks, the shelf leans, the fence bows, someone is there to fix it. There would be space enough for visits. A porch that receives people the way a good song receives dance, generous and unapologetic. But home is not just bricks and paint. It's renegotiated histories and future punctuation marks. For Amy, who has navigated public scrutiny and private grief, a home could mean the luxury of letting down her defenses. I picture her waking in the morning to the small domestic delights that often go unremarked in headlines. Coffee that stays hot because the mug sits on a coaster, a seat at the breakfast table that is exactly the right height for two people to lean in and trade conspiratorial smiles. For Michael, it's the quiet dignity of routine. A mailbox collected, a lawn mowed, a dog that follows him out to the mailbox as if they share the same would become new characters in their story. There's a delightful tension in the image of Amy greeting the neighborhood like she's hosting a parade. She'd learn quickly the rhythms of lawnmower time, know which van belongs to the mail carrier, and when to bring over chicken soup for Mrs. Patel down the block. Michael, to the surprise of some, would be the one who adopts the shy wave, the man who keeps a bag of sugar on hand because lending sugar is the original social media. A way to show up. A reality star's house purchase isn't simply a plot device. It's a mirror held up to the ways people rebuild themselves. Homeownership would be an exercise in trust. To buy a house is to trust you'll be there to pay the bills, to trust that the person next to you will help when the water heater gives up, to trust that the private moments between morning and bedtime can be stitched into something durable. For Amy and Michael, whose days often feature cameras and commentary, home could be the territory where they practice being unseen. Imagine nights when the television crew has left and there is nothing but the soft hum of a refrigerator and two people deciding, slowly and without an audience, what to have for dinner. There would also be noise, actual unglamorous noise. Kids returning with backpacks slung over shoulders would drop a pile of backpacks like a modern offering. A vacuum would be argued over. A father-son or mother-daughter spat would ricochet through the hallways and dissolve into laughter because family habit is a stubborn, affectionate beast. But within that clutter and argument, this nascent home would collect rituals. Sunday pancakes, the exact way Amy folds towels, Michael's habit of whistling when he walks into a room. Rituals heal in increments. They are the mortar of daily life. Financial breath would be another thread of the story. Buying a house requires more than a crush on a floor plan. It requires facing the ledger. There would be meetings over coffee-stained spreadsheets and late-night discussions about mortgage rates. Those numbers sound like a different language until you hear them said aloud. The process would force the pair to map their priorities. What do they save for? What do they splurge on? The house, in this sense, becomes a financial fairy tale where every bank form completed is a small, exhilarating victory. Of course, the cameras would follow, at least for a bit, catching the open house smiles and the first box unpacked. But home ownership's real beauty is that most of the best moments get filmed only by memory. The way sunlight hits a staircase at 7 a.m., the first storm survived beneath a shared blanket, the quiet, "I'm proud of you," that requires no microphone. A home is where people make mistakes without an audience. It is where apologies land on the floor instead of being swept onto social media. And then the practical, repairs, the inevitable surprise of a plumbing issue, the mystery of an attic that smells faintly of history. These are the maintenance tasks that, in a way, are metaphors for parenting and partnership. Fixing a leak is like fixing a misunderstanding. It requires attention, tools, and the willingness to get wet together. In the hands of Amy and Michael, these challenges would be tenderly comedic and stubbornly human. If the Haltermans bought a home, the final scene isn't a ribbon cutting or a confetti moment. It's smaller. It might be Amy and Michael sitting on mismatched lawn chairs in a backyard that's more work in progress than finished product, paper plates balancing burgers in their laps. Children run in the background, a neighbor waves from across the fence, and a sunset slips quietly toward the horizon. The camera, if there is still one, pulls back then, leaving the couple in a frame that is both ordinary and quietly everything. So, have they purchased a home? In the made-up world I gave them here, yes. They have bought a place not just to live, but to become. They have bought a set of problems and pleasures that, when handled together, become the scaffolding of a life. Whether this is true in the headlines or remains a hopeful rumor, it's worth believing in the image for a moment. Two people choosing to build something that is theirs, imperfect and luminous, a place where the world outside can be loud and judgmental, and yet, inside, the music is softer and the doors can be closed. Home, for Amy and Michael, would be less about showing the world what they have and more about learning what they need. The house would be a verb before it's a noun, a daily practice of showing up, mending, eating, laughing, and being present. If they have indeed purchased a home, we're not watching a property transaction. We're witnessing a new chapter being opened, pages that promise to be messy, earnest, and full of ordinary miracles.